welcome again to the Encouragers Youth platform this week. Last week, we spoke about your identity, ensuring that you have the true identity. We saw that in order to be a change agent, which you are created to be a change agent in your job, in your community, or wherever you are planted, you must know your identity. Why is identity so critically important? Sometime in your life, you will come to an inflection point, a turning point, a crossroad, a place where two roads meet, a valley of decision, where you need to know whether to go right or left. Such a time will come. And at such a time, it is your identity that will drive your decision. It's your identity that will determine your decision. And that decision will have far-reaching consequences. Such a point in life is known as a life-changing experience. It doesn't matter if you are a wealthy man or born into a wealthy family. It doesn't matter if you are a very poor man, even jobless and penniless. Let's say, for example, you are a poor man, hungry, without a place of your own to live, and you discover that $100,000 have been paid into your account in error. You know it is in error. What will you do? It's your identity that will direct your thoughts and your actions at such a moment. Or let's say you are a wealthy man, and suddenly disaster strikes, and you lose all your home and your possessions in one fell swoop. In each of these scenarios, it's your identity that will drive the decision you must make. And that decision will have lasting consequences. At such moments, the identity of your pastor will not help. The identity of your general overseer will not count. The identity of your friends will not take you through those phases. Even the identity of your spouse will not help. Let me review briefly the story of a wealthy man from the East, and how the knowledge of his identity helped him to make the decision he made in the face of unspeakable disaster. Now, you do not have to be responsible for a disaster that may affect you. It does not have to have come as a result of your carelessness. But however it comes, and whatever its shape and circumstance, your known identity shapes your reaction. Let's now look briefly into the story of a man whose identity became critical in the way he handled the change that came upon him suddenly. That was the history of a man who lived in ancient days. He was a very wealthy man with great possessions. Disaster struck suddenly, and he lost not just his possessions, but lost all his children. If you thought this can only be a fiction, just look today at Ukraine. And there are many in that position who have suddenly lost everything, and they are now alone. There are others who came to be alone after losing the entire family during a sudden collapse of the home they lived in, a luxury apartment that collapsed suddenly. There are several in many parts of the world who have lost their homes in the coronavirus. They lost their family, entire family, wiped off, leaving only one person. What next step you take at such moments depends in the knowledge of your identity. That was the history of a man who lived in ancient days, as I said. He was a very, very wealthy man. Disaster struck suddenly, and he lost not just his possessions, he lost all his children. Job lived in ancient days in the land of Uz, identified as an area near Palestine. He was engulfed in an unmerited and unprecedented suffering, all suddenly. The record in the book of Job, chapter 1, contains the following facts. He was a good man. He was a righteous man. He was not like any of the corrupt, leaders of today. He was super wealthy. His wealth was calculated as wealth was calculated in those days, not in the cash in the bank, but in the number of animals he had in this agrarian population. His substance was made up of 7,000 sheep, thousands of camels, yoke oxen, asses, and so on. He was so known to be so wealthy. He was an important man. But suddenly he lost his children in one day, lost all his animals in one day. He lost all in one day. Soon after that, he began to suffer serious sickness, a terrible skin disease. You may be tempted to think that it's a fiction until you recall many such cases in Kaduna, Zamfara, Borno, Ukraine, America, where families have been wiped off by one thing or the other. Because Job was fully aware of his identity, he chose to stay faithful and focused. He knew whose he was, and he constantly confessed his identity. I know whom I believe. Upon losing all that he had, he worshipped him, his creator, whom he believed, whose he is. So he did not go into depression. He did not commit suicide. He did not run away in disgrace. Job's wife taunted him and asked him what was the point of his integrity. Why are you saying he's still living an honest life? His close friends who claimed to be serving the same God as he, wrote him off as unworthy. But Job remained unmoved because he was sure of who he was, whose he was, and where he was going. You may say, but that is olden times. I want you to know that in Ukraine today, there are young men running back home to Ukraine, not running away, and determined to fight for the freedom of their nation because they are sure of their identity. You may ask, have I lived what I am preaching on this subject matter? Next week, I will show you that I've also experienced this. I will also show you that you must never from now let anyone tell you that you have no power, that you are trapped, that you are no good. We will show you that you indeed have power, that you do matter, and are of great worth. You matter to your community. You matter to your nation. You matter to God. And the world is waiting for you. Rather than think you are waiting for God, I want to assure you God is in fact waiting for you to use the power he has given you to change your community and to change it now. Tune in next week for an exciting time for the youth on this platform.